Good morning. Is this on? Is this on enough? Am I in the middle? Am I now in the middle? Good morning, everyone. Last week, Daryl and John finished up a class session about the covenants. And he it caps off really well this morning with his sermon about God Almighty, God Most High. And we're gonna slide right into that idea. And for the next 12 weeks, you get Brandon Haney and myself, which is a lot of both of us, even though there's not very much of either of us. So, it's sorry. I hope you're good. Okay, cool. What we're going to be talking about for the next 12 weeks is followership. And followership was, the idea of it was new to me when I first started looking into this. It's a word that, by the way, do you think that it's actually a word? Is it a word? Here we go. This is a fun guess. If someone wants to throw this out. The first time it's historically used in writing was what year? Like the first use of the word followership was 2020. That's 1867, just like you guys would have thought. 1867. That was as far as the research into that word went. I didn't care to find out what it was for. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what followership is. We're actually going to talk about the difference between followership and discipleship. And how they vary, how they're actually two very different ideas instead of just synonyms for each other. And then we're going to talk about the 5 W's of journalism. Who, what, when, where, why. Those are the 5 W's. And then that'll be it for this morning. That's going to actually take up quite a bit of time. This is very, very much a discussion class. If I say something that that perks your ears a little bit, yell out at me, raise your hand, throw something. Not at me, just like in general, and then we will move on from there. Here we go. Whatever. There we go. Followership versus discipleship. On the screen it says, the discipleship is the condition or situation of being a disciple, a follower, or a student of some philosophy, especially a follower of Christ. That's usually when we hear the disciple, it's either used in Christian context or other, I guess, religious sects of some sort. You don't really hear disciples of the thunder, like you hear followers or fans or whatever. But usually in religious context is when disciple is used. Followership, however, is the willingness to cooperate and working towards the accomplishment of a defined goal while demonstrating a high degree of interactive teamwork. So although we would say that discipleship and followership may sound the same, I want to put forth that they are two very different ideas that work together. Like being a disciple is you individually. Followership is us collectively. And that's really important for everything that we've got going forward. The reason that this moves seamlessly from covenant to God Most High to followership is this. There is one person that has authority over us. And that is, okay, who else has authority over you? Are you saying you for like plural, like all of us, or just you specifically? Just you. Okay. I just have to figure out the hierarchy here. We are all on a very level playing field as far as being children of God. There's no one above us. There's no one below us. We're a team. I'm a huge sports guy, and I'm going to try as much as I possibly can to not reference sports at every opportunity. There will be some. I like other stuff too, but I do follow quite a few sports. This last week was the biggest week in sports. You had the NCAA championship, you had the Masters, and opening day for baseball, which should be a holiday just in case you're curious. Yeah. Yes?
My grandmother used to say, we need to discipline our kids, and I thought she always got it wrong, like we need to discipline our kids.
Mhm.
But later on, I thought, well, what does disciple mean? To teach. So she
Right.
was right in the way we just thought she was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It turns out, old wisdom is hard to beat. This is what we have. They do share some characteristics, with the one major difference being the group teamwork, the collective effort that we have. For everybody that plays basketball or watches basketball or has anything to do with basketball, if two players from the same team are going up for a rebound, you yell. Or, no, it's you and your teammate going up. You yell, same team, mine. You just let them know, hey, we're on a team together. We don't have to fight for this, okay? We're all going, this is a collective effort. It doesn't matter which one of us gets this. Let's just get this together. Same team. So that's what we would yell out. The biblical ideas of followership are pretty easy, like, to put together as far as the teamwork side of it. Many parts, one body. I wanted to come up with a lot more, and I was like, that really encompasses it. I mean, like, we are all a team together. We are all working towards an effort. This is a little bit of a side note. I think that sometimes we don't treat our group here as teammates. Not that necessarily, it's not opposing teams, it's not enemies, but I think that sometimes we feel like we're out on an island or someone else is out on an island, and we don't incorporate teamwork as much as we need to. We're going to address that over the next 12 weeks. And this also ruins quite splendidly the idea of this is between me and God, or this is between them and God. Because if we are a team, then your problem is between us and God. You get to bring more to the table as far as burdens or victories or whatever it is. We are all here to share in this followership, in this group collective moving forward. So for the first of our 12 weeks, I wanted to spend our time building a base. We've got a lot of different subjects that we're going to be covering, but I really wanted to kind of do a baseline. Let's make some definitions. Let's get all on the same page together, and then we're going to move forward into what we're actually going to be doing. So that's why we are doing the 5 W's of journalism. You could just say other things, but if you Google that, this is what it says. The 5 W's of journalism are, okay, so then the first question is who? Who is involved? Who is involved in followership? Let's yes, but let's be more specific. You, and you as an individual, okay? You as an individual have to make the decision to be part of the team, to be part of the group, to make followership something that you practice and work on in this collective goal moving forward, okay? Number 2 is Jesus. He's the one we're following. There is no one else, by the way. There's not a secondary. Daryl talked about this a little bit this morning, actually quite a bit this morning. There is God, and you don't have anything else in God's presence. And because of that, when we follow God. We follow Jesus. And there's not a second. There are other things that we do in life, but that is the follow. We're going to talk about what following looks like a lot over the next few weeks. But that's what I want to give as a baseline. And the third person is, you said it to begin with, us. It's the collective. In followership, it is us. It's very important to recognize the us. Not one of you is by yourself in this situation. As we're growing in this, and especially, anybody ever read a book on leadership? Raise your hand if you've read a book. If you've heard of a book on leadership. Yeah, that's it. Okay. If you've ever read a book about followership. Wait, are there no? That's our problem. This is a study that needs to be done a lot more, and it's very interesting. Like, everything that I researched, everything that I read was like, hey, you've read a lot of books on leadership, but you've never read anything about followership, so let's talk about that. As we're growing together in this, it's important to recognize the people that are in this room and the people that are part of this congregation. I'm not excluding anybody that's not here for whatever reason. What I'm trying to build is this family unit, if that makes sense. I hope that's, I'm not trying to be exclusive of other people. I'm trying to drive home points for us here this morning. So, it's us as the collective. So, we move on. You ever have slides come out of order whenever they weren't supposed to be? All right, the next one is what? It's fine, it doesn't matter. We'll get through this. The next one is what? What is followership? So if you guys were gonna put together followership, besides the definition that I put up there, what would you say is followership? You can even be very specific. This doesn't have to be general, like what is followership? What is followership in the church? Submission, that's a really good one, yes. Cooperative? Yeah. Yes. Participation? Yes. Loyalty. Ooh, loyalty. That's really good. And loyalty to? To the body. And to? Yes. Anything else? Compromise. Go on. That's going to be something that if you answer, be fully prepared to back up your answer, because I won't let this go. Go ahead.
Putting aside our differences and certain things that we hold as important to value the group and the mission.
Oh, that is so good. Wait, did you read all the stuff that I read? This is that's it. That's really it. It is giving up. It is giving up your individual goal for the group goal. And there is a fair amount of compromise involved with that. Yes?
I had a preacher one time say, how many championships did Michael Jordan win? And I was quick to say 6, because Michael Jordan didn't win any. The Chicago Bulls won 6.
Ooh.
Can't
Yeah.
do it without a team.
Yeah, it is it's perfect. That's a perfect analogy. It is. There are 4 other guys out there, and like the other 4 guys can definitely ruin a team. Like, one person can't be good all by themselves. See LeBron. I put down a couple of other definitions. We defined it above as the willingness to cooperate and working towards the accomplishment of defined goals while demonstrating a high degree of interactive teamwork. Some other ones that I found were the ability or willingness to follow a leader, the process of following or being guided by a leader. The Civil Air Patrol defined this as reaching a specific goal while exercising respect for authority, a positive attitude, integrity, and self-discipline. And it is the ability to take direction well, to get in line behind a program, to be part of a team, and to deliver what is expected of you. The list of definitions was way I could have just read definitions of followership this morning and taken up 40 minutes, and then we all could have just gone home. There were that many. So it's out there. The idea is out there. So then we move on to when. So when does this happen? When does followership happen? There's 2 pieces of this. For the next 11 weeks after this is win number 1, and that is we're gonna grow in this. You've never done anything. You've never been good at anything without a fair amount of practice at it. Okay. I think that this followership is something that we have neglected, not out of willful ignorance, willful push it to the side, I don't want to be a part of this, but I think that it's an idea that we don't focus on because we're so focused on leadership, Christian leadership, people in charge. Who's going to be in charge of this? Who's going to do this? That we fail to say, who's going to be a follower? Who's going to jump on board behind this? And so, who wants to help with small groups? That's a little bit of a joke. Yes, it's a little bit of a joke because I'm the new deacon as of 20 minutes ago of small groups. So now is a time for you to come forward and help me out with that. After the 12 weeks, it will be our time to really get going. We're going to spend time really focusing on this, and I would encourage you to take the information that we give from week to week and go home and think on them, research, read, find other stuff. Come to me and Brandon with stuff that you might have, questions you might have. We'll be very happy to talk to you about all this stuff. So those are our 2 wins. The answer of where. So the next question is where. And the where is kind of a where and when situation because, I mean, it's a question and it's just, we should practice followership whenever the opportunity arises, wherever you happen to be. It's that broad of a situation that it doesn't come secondary. It is all the time ceaselessly moving forward, okay? And then for the big one is why. Why are we going to do followership? Why are we going to spend 12 weeks on it? Why does this apply to you? Why does this matter at all? There's a lot of whys. Is this study relevant to me? Is this just not going to... Huh? Is this study relevant to me? Yes, it is relevant. I've got a joke built into this right now that this is not working. Just go hit the next slide. Yeah, so what I couldn't find any scriptures saying that we should follow Jesus. There was nothing I could find. Like I read through and I just couldn't find anything. Go to the next slide. And I just read and I read and I read and I just couldn't find anything at all that said where Jesus was just like, come and follow me. Like if he could have just said those words, it would have been way easier. Yeah. This is like a third of the ones that I had originally, and this list that I had originally was about a quarter of what I found total. Just to give the scope of the number of times we're instructed to follow Jesus. So if you want a why, because he told you to. It's not the greatest parent answer, but it is, in this situation, the best answer. Jesus on numerous occasions said, come, follow me. Lay down what you're doing, follow me. I almost don't have to go any farther with it, except I've already got the stuff prepared. The why is because Jesus has come to you, specifically, you individual, single, and said, follow me, all of you. The leader and us. It's not the leader in you, it's the leader and us. But he's come to you and said, lay down what you have, and your burden, and your problems, and everything that you've got at my feet, and come and follow me. Followership is a discipline that must be learned and practiced. We spend no time with this. So if these things seem foreign and a little weird, it's because we've spent no time with this. Why would you be good at this? Number one, God provides a guidebook that will help us with command and example. We'll study the examples provided. We're going to listen to the commands given. We're going to wrestle with the enormous implications required, and we will daily refine our practice of followership. Number 2 is God's followership and leadership are inseparable. Or godly followership and leadership are inseparable. We may be followers in one setting and leaders in another. We may have to switch hats instantly. Good leadership flows from good followership. And good leaders can be positively or negatively affected by followers. Number 3, followership is a series of choices, a commitment. It begins with a single choice, follow me. Continues with daily choices to follow, walking in the light daily. Grace covers over poor choices when repentance is demonstrated, and followership can be rejected in favor of self-will. What I want versus what he wants. Number 4 is followership can be painful and even costly. Jesus encourages us to count the cost of following. Followership requires courage and strength, and followership can be risky. Followership may cause growing pains even for mature Christians. If John and Kelly want to learn how to salsa dance, I assume you don't currently know how to salsa dance. Okay. If John and Kelly want to learn how to salsa dance, they go to the salsa dance lesson place. I don't know where that is. And they go, okay, you guys are going to learn how to salsa dance today. So John, come on in, and we're going to teach you how to be a salsa dancer, and you get to be the leader, okay? So come on in, and so for hours, maybe days, I don't know how good of a dancer, weeks, bad dancer. So it could be an enormous amount of time that they spend with John, teaching John how to salsa dance. And at the end of this set period of time, they bring Kelly in, and they go, okay, now you two salsa dance. Just because John knows how to dance and lead doesn't mean that Kelly knows how to dance at all. It's important for us to understand that this followership is something that we have to learn in order to be better followers. Followership is like, it's not, I'm not telling like, follow Jesus. Yes, follow Jesus to do all of these things, okay? Go to where people need help. Go visit the sick. Feed the poor. There's a million ways to go to the people following Jesus throughout these. That's not what I'm telling you right now. What I'm telling you right now is that we are not very good at following, and that's what this whole thing is going to be about. There is a big push right now in the world on every level. And I know, like, we're not supposed to use, like, that big of a language, but I feel like we can do it in this situation, that you can't tell me what to do. I will do whatever I want. As long as I'm not hurting people, what does it matter to you? There's this gigantic sentiment of I will be my own autonomous person, making all of my own decisions for me, and no one can tell me any different. And unfortunately, that's not the case. We like to stand up to authority. We like to be the authority. We like to push back against the powers that be, whatever that, like, it can be big, it can be small, it can just be anybody that wants to tell you what to do, and you get to reject that. And that is going to be the hardest piece that we have to overcome while we're learning about this, is that there is somebody who can tell you what to do, and he's been doing it for a really long time, and sometimes we're really bad at listening to that. I've got a few more points here, but I want to open it up to any questions or ideas. Like, I know this is a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know how to talk to people any other way. My wife laughs at that. Do Do you guys have any questions or comments, anything that stands out to you so far that we've talked about? I don't want to just lecture for this entire time. Yes, sir.
I've noticed that over the years, I see a tendency to pick a church based on what you just described, which is, what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what series of events, of flavor, of personality, of teaching, of whatever, does this church have, and is that the product I want to buy?
Right.
And we've become more consumer oriented.
Right.
And the consumer is always right, is what our society tells us. The customer is always right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real struggle with pushing back what you're getting ready to push back on versus that idea of, if I get uncomfortable with something that's happening here, what does followership, what do all these passages have to say about that? We kind of know it in family. I can get really mad at my family, but I'm stuck with them. Right?
He says as he sits by his family.
Love you. But in church, we've kind of said, but they're not exactly family.
Right.
So if I get really
It's
frustrated with
family
my
with
church,
an asterisk.
yeah, I don't have to stay. I can go find another church.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would also say that we want you to be, as an elder, I would say, we want you to be in church, and if there's some reason you can't be here, we want you in another church. We don't want you to leave the church. And we are all the church. All the churches are the church. And I'm sure someone would want to argue, well, not all of them, and we can have that later.
Sure.
But
John said that, not me, by the way. Just really reiterating that.
But I think we have to, if we're going to go through a class on followership, we have to kind of think about those moments when things get a little sticky. And are there advantages to staying? Are there advantages when we don't agree to continue to follow? And I think that will be hard, but I think there are benefits to working through issues.
Agreed.
The divorce rate in the church is not much different than the divorce rate in the world, which says we aren't people who typically have a tendency to stay. But it's something we need to learn how to do.
There was a study performed where three groups of people were put together. The first group was all leaders. The second group was all followers. This is a real study, by the way. I'm not just like making this. Isn't like pulpit stories where I'm just making things up. And the third group, I'm not saying he does it. No. The preachers in the room know that is a thing. Like, people make up stories sometimes just to get their point across. This isn't that. He doesn't do it. This guy does it. That's my dad. My dad's a preacher. He's here. Come say hi to him afterwards. Yeah. The third group is a single leader and a group of followers. In these three groups, they were given a task to accomplish and given a time frame. Simple task, very easy task. The task was given to the first group of leaders, and all of them argued for the entire time period about the way that it should be done, and by the time that the time was called, nothing had actually been accomplished. The second group was followers who stood around waiting for someone to say something and do something about it. They finally grumbled, and after about 30-ish minutes, finally accomplished the task. The group where there was a single leader and a group of followers, it took under 5 minutes to accomplish the task. It was that simple. It was a very easy process. And so, which one of these is easily the more effective group? It's pretty easy when there is 1 to followers. With John's point, I think that sometimes we get to, how do I want to say this? We don't want to stick around and be told by a single leader what to do because nobody can tell me what to do, and then I get to go and choose somewhere else, and I don't have to deal with this. Or somebody else in the group tried to be the leader, and I don't like that, and so I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go do something else. The idea of cohesiveness of, Dylan, what was your word? Compromise. It's a big one. Because it stops being about you, and it starts being about us. And if it's about us, if it's really about us collectively, then the sticky situations you just work through. The family, it's not family with an asterisk anymore. It's just family. We're just family. I don't know some of you, at all. I don't know some of you very well. Some of you I know very well. Some of you have my kids. It's my wife. We are family together collectively. No ifs, ands, or buts. The end. That's it. And so I just wanted to capitalize on John's point, because that's very true. We have to make the decision to be a follower, but also to be a follower altogether. Any other thoughts or ideas?
Yes, some would label in the world, followership equates to cult.
Ooh, that's a good one.
There are those who will follow blindly
Agreed.
a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Pick one. Hitler, Branch Davidians. They're all around in the world right now today. So we tend to not want to do that, so that we're not associated
Right.
with that type of followership.
Right. In all of the definitions that I found, there were several charts that talked about what followership actually looks like and what it looks like to be a good follower versus a bad follower. And in the bad follower was someone who blindly follows and just does, they're not super active with the team and they just kind of follow whatever is said. They're just there. That's like your lower left-hand quadrant. And then in your upper right-hand quadrant was very team-oriented and individual, what's the word? A lot of thought. You processed everything that was going on. So you weren't blindly going. You were very cognitively interactive with the process and the situation. So it was never blind, but it was always loyal. It was always working with the group towards the goal. So yeah, that's a very important distinction. We're never called to just close your eyes and run through the wall. You're not just supposed to do that. What you are supposed to do is make a decision that this is our family. Let's move forward as a group. And if we do that, the catch of this is, in reading all of this stuff, if we did that, if we were very good at that, and I'm not saying that we're bad at it, it's just like an unlearned skill. If we were very good at it, the amazing things that this congregation could accomplish if we were all 200, how many were here this morning? Anybody? Any count? 280? All 280 of us. By the way, that's a huge number in just 10 years or whatever. But all 280 of us, the amount of things that we could accomplish if we were one cohesive unit moving forward, the answer is anything. We could accomplish anything. And the two reasons for that is because we can accomplish anything because God's given us that power. Yes?
There's only one leader that doesn't have to follow, and that's God.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even Jesus himself submitted to his Father and showed us what leadership by following looks like. So you see so many conferences. I've probably been to over half a dozen since I've been in ministry on how to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
But not one of those leadership conferences is about how to be a better follower.
Right.
And so what we need to understand is we don't want to blindly follow any leader, because that leader needs to be answering to somebody higher as well.
Correct.
So we need to see who they're answering to and how they follow the leader. But it's hard because it's not just leaders over here and followers over here, because every leader is a follower and every follower is a leader. You might lead in a very poor ways. You might lead by not leading.
Right.
But we need to understand why followership is so important, because if we're following the wrong thing, we're also leading people down the wrong path.
Right. And we're going to talk about leadership like respecting authorities and who leaders are and what leadership looks like in the context of this in coming weeks. So like we're gonna dive deep into that, and that's extremely important to recognize that you will change hats, like we talked about earlier. You will change hats constantly from leadership to followership to leadership, but you'll be a better leader if you're a better follower. Yes.
I'm just thinking the word followership, does it kind of have a negative connotation in our
It does.
culture? Because
It does.
as many points have been made, you know, it's all about leadership. Everybody needs to be a leader, as if following isn't important.
Mm-hmm.
But without followers, how would anything get done?
It's actually a really good point, and to that, how much more would be accomplished if we accepted that role of follower? But that is exactly it. It has a negative connotation, and I want to. I can't reiterate this enough. Like, we can go back to the slides where it was Jesus saying, "Come follow me," like, be a follower. Like, Jesus doesn't give you titles to be bad. He's not like, hey, just be really stupid about all of this stuff and just do anything that your leadership comes up with and do that. It's not that. Jesus gives you the title of follower to be a part of the group, and that's not negative. There is no negative connotation in that, and I need for us to move past that. And that's a really hard one because you're right. Leader is what we're supposed to be, right? Leader. I'm in charge. That's the decision maker. That's not it. Yes, John.
Maybe a different way to think about it is being called to be part of the team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the communion thought this morning saying, hey, you know, we all want to get picked.
Right.
We've all been picked. We've all been picked to follow.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have all been picked to follow. No one hasn't been picked to follow.
Hey, Jeff,
Yes.
can we be a leader if no one is following?
Ooh, chicken and the egg.
What if people said, let's go to war, and nobody went?
That'd be great.
Amen. But nobody. I mean, that's.
Go to war and nobody goes. Is he really a leader?
Well, I mean, yes, with the gigantic question mark. So, I mean, you can be a very bad leader. I think that's the distinction.
No, the difference there is leader and title.
Leader and title versus leader, right?
Leader.
Yeah, like we all know people that are the person that really makes the decisions, or just really has all the information. At my job, please, nobody from my work be watching this. There are several people that are like experts in specific things, and so it's not that I wouldn't go to my boss for information, but I know that like if I need to get into the nitty-gritty stuff, I've got people that I can go to. And they, like, their title isn't leader, but I would definitely put them in that category. And some of the people in my group at work are the knowledgeable people for that thing for my company. And so, like, lots of people come to them, but they don't have that specific title. But I would put them in that leadership category because they have people that come to them for that information and rely on them for information. So the leader in title, I think if you're only a leader in title, you're a really bad leader.
We all work with people in a secular setting, or some of us have anyway, and we know that sometimes there's somebody that is the leader.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Big air quotes there, everybody.
This other person, because they're the one that has the answer.
Right.
Because the leader doesn't have a clue.
Right. My people at work aren't like that. If you're listening, it's not like that.
But yeah, that was my point.
Yes. So I made a list here that'll scroll here in a second of everyone that has a bigger role in the church than you do. Okay? That's it. That's the end of the list. This is really important for you to understand. there are people who are decision makers. We have our elders that are our shepherds that are keeping us in line. That's not the right way to say that, but go with me on that. But we all have an important role. I think that we get complacent with the idea of other people, specifically leaders, are going to do all of the things, and then I will show up when the things are done and consume. Be consumers. They will do the work, I will consume, and then decide if it's a good thing for me or not, and then I will stay or not stay. Instead of, you have a job here, we all have a job here. If you're not doing that job, you can be on the small group committee with me. I'm going to plug this a lot. I've got 12 weeks of a microphone. There are jobs to be done. There are things to do in this congregation. And more importantly, the role of follower goes well beyond these walls into everything that you're doing in life. And, this is very important. Oh, this is a good one. I got a dad joke built in. Being a sheep isn't that bad. If it was a handheld mic, I'd drop it and walk away, but I'm not. Over the last few years, and kind of even in just, I guess maybe for all of history, I don't know, but it's become more of a negative thing. Being a sheep, you don't pay attention, you don't look up, you just go where the dog herds you or the shepherd tells you to go. And it gets a bad rap. But there's too many stories in the Bible about sheep for me to give them a bad rap. There's too many stories about Jesus calling us sheep, saying he is the shepherd, or parables about how he's going out to find that one to bring it back to the group. The idea of being a sheep, not to everything, but right now in this, we have a shepherd, we have a leader, and God is calling you, please follow me. For the next 11 weeks, we will dive very deep into all of this. And I'm very excited about what this can possibly mean for our congregation. I'm excited. Thank you guys for sticking around. Now you guys know for next week, and hopefully you'll be back. That is all that I have for this morning. It's a little bit early. I'm going to pray, and then we will get out of here. Father, thank you for being in this room with us and being our leader. God, as we take on this new role and this responsibility of follower in this body, let us take this seriously. Let us go home and wrestle with this. God, we ask that the Holy Spirit get into our hearts and force us to think about these things and what it means for our life in this body and with you. God, we pray that you watch over all of us as we continue to follow the instructions you have given us. It's in your Son's name we pray. Amen. You guys are dismissed.